Thank you so much for joining me for day 23 of my 365 days of craft videos. Today I am going to show you how to make a tomato-like pincushion, and I'm using Heather Bailey's Pop Daisy fabric. This is one of my biggest sellers on my Etsy account and at craft fairs, so I love to make them, and I hope that you will enjoy making it too. For this project you will need some fabric, and I have an assortment of the Heather Bailey Pop Daisy fabric here that I love so much. You can also use different fabric. It doesn't have to be this kind of fabric. Some assorted buttons. These are assorted vintage buttons. You need one larger button for the top and one smaller button for the bottom. You are going to need two sizes of needles. You're going to need a larger one with a larger hole because you're going to be putting 6 strands of embroidery floss through, and then a smaller one to stitch up your opening when you turn your pincushion right side out. You will need some scissors. You will need a backing fabric, and for this particular fabric, the Pop Daisy, I just use a plain white background. You will need scissors. You will also need some fiber fill to stuff your pincushion. You will also need a sewing machine and an iron. So with this fabric, the Pop Daisy fabric, it's really easy to cut out because there's already a circle in the fabric, so you can just follow that, leaving, about a ½ inch around the edge. And then I always lay my background fabric against it so that when I sew it, it's even, because you're not cutting an even circle. But when you're sewing, you're going to sew an even circle all the way around. And what I love about this project is you can use fabric scraps from other projects that you have to make this. And so if you're going to use a different type of fabric, just lay the right sides together and then find a circle template. You can use bowls, you can use any large circle that you have, and then what you're going to do is you're going to draw around that, and then what you do is you'll just cut out the circle. But since this is the one I'm going to be showing you today, I am going to go ahead and sew around the edge, leaving about an 1.5 to a 2-inch space open. So I'm going to sew all the way around using the petal as my guide. So then once you've sewn all the way around, I'm going to go ahead and trim this. I'm not going to trim the part that's open, I'm just going to trim the other to 1/4 inch all the way around. And then I'm going to clip it, I'd say about every 3/4 inch all the way around. Be careful when you're clipping that you don't clip over your stitch, because that would be a real bummer. So once you have it clipped all the way around, we're going to turn it right side out, and that should be pretty easy because you've left a pretty big space there to do this with. And then I'm going to use my chopstick again, or you can use a pencil that's not sharpened or something, or a knitting needle, and just kind of go around the edges just to pull the stitching out a bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and press that down. So what you want to do is you want to kind of just, with your hands, press over so it's even with the other stitching that you have. So once you get that all situated, you're going to press it really good, especially that opening part. So when you stuff it, the line will still be there. So when you go to hand stitch it, it'll just be that much easier for you. Okay, and now we're ready to stuff. So what you want to do is just stuff it as full of fiber fill as you can. I mean, you want this to be really dense with fiber fill. So I'm going to go ahead and stuff that, and I'll be right back. So once you get it all the way stuffed, you can kind of form it with your hand, just kind of like even it out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stitch up the opening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin that. So once you get it all the way pinned, then I'm going to take the smaller needle and some white thread, and I'm just going to stitch that closed. And try not to make the stitch show so much. Stitch tiny stitches just to close that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. So once you get that all stitched up, it's going to look kind of wonky, but that will go away once you do your embroidery floss in there. So we're just going to make a knot. Just take a stitch in there, pull through, and then loop back under the thread and pull it, and then do that a couple times, And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and then come up a little farther away there to hide the thread. And then I'm just going to cut that off real close. And then you kind of want to shape it out a bit. Now with this fabric, it's not a perfect circle. If you're doing the other type where you're drawing the circle and you're doing the seam allowance an exact 1/4 inch around, it's going to be more circular. But it really doesn't matter because once we get the embroidery floss in, it's going to round out.